Hello. I am finally filming another video. I have been trying to film a video all week actually. And hello, if you're new here, my name is Hafsa. I've never actually introduced myself before, so this feels this feels so weird. My name's Hafsa. That's all you're getting from me today because I'm already feeling too awkward. I feel like there's too much already. And today's topic is books. Is reading really that important? Is it really that important? I think it is. And here's my reasons why. You don't have to listen to this, but I think you might want to, especially if you're really trying to get into reading or if it's like one of your New Year's resolutions. Maybe sit down for a while, get cozy like me. I don't know what that is. This is not even hot. This is actually cold. Why is reading important? Is reading really a good habit? Is there any point of reading anymore? I'm going to try and convince you. I realized that it was very far out when I was initially filming, so I brought you in closer. So we're going to keep this distance because I don't want you getting any closer. I'm going to try and convince you by the end of this video, and I hope that you do start reading, even if it means one book a year. So first, I'm going to talk about my experience with reading in high school and in school in general. I wasn't the greatest reader. I wasn't the greatest person at reading. I found it kind of difficult to read actually. I just had a harder time reading compared to like all the other children in the classroom. In the UK, we used to have like levels of reading. I don't know if it happens in every school, but for people in Manchester, you'll know. People in Manchester, we would have like reading levels. So I think in my school there was like different colors. We used to have like color levels. I think I by the end of primary school anyway, I think I got to like grey, and I don't think that was that high. Was it? Did I get to grey or was it maroon? It was one of those two, and it wasn't that high. It was more average, but sometimes I would find it still a bit harder to read. Thicknesses of the books would really intimidate me. Like if I saw a book like that big, God, best believe I'm not picking up that book. I remember I used to like pick up like random ones in like our little school library that we used to have, and I would not read them. I would go through it, I'd be like, yeah, 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 whatever. But I would only pick it up because of the cover. I'm very much a visual learner, so especially when I see like a cover that's really cool, like why would I be picking up Doctor Who books? What am I gonna do as a 8-year-old? Read about Doctor Who? I I just couldn't. My brain could not fathom it. I remember when we used to also do like some like little reading tests with the teachers, like outside of classes. Like I would be stuttering while reading. I don't have a stammer. I just couldn't. Like I could see the words, but it would be really hard for me to like to get it out. I don't know if there's anything for that, so y'all can let me know. Yeah, I just found it harder to read in primary school. But the funny thing is, I enjoyed reading. It was a lot harder for me to read out loud than it was to read in my head. Reading in my head, it'll be fine. But then when it came to reading out loud, especially like within the classroom, girl, I hated it every second of it. Like even in high school, there'll be times where I'll just be like, I can't do it, miss. I'm not gonna read. I'm so sorry. I'm not reading out loud. It would just take me a bit longer. Even if it was 2 sentences, it'd take me a good 5 minutes to read those 2 sentences. But that's nothing to beat yourself up about, just a learning curve. But yeah, if you ever had a similar experience to me, don't worry, you're not alone. You're not alone. As for high school though, we used to have like reading classes like from year 7 to year 8, I want to say. And I did enjoy those classes, not because I was messing about. Like I found some good books while reading in that class. I forgot how much I enjoyed it, especially after high school. I didn't read that much. It wasn't until like a year or two ago that I started reading again. And I don't know, I've not stopped since, to be fair. Last year, I read at least a book a month, which I'm also doing this year. The year before I even set myself a target for reading, I just read. I just took what I could and just started reading, like just the books off my shelves, just the books like my sisters had. Even just sharing that experience with someone, like with your friends, it's just more enjoyable that way. But last year, I read a book a month. I think I read, I want to say 19 books, even though I only set my target of 12 or 13 books. I think that was the number. I'll put it on the screen if it's wrong. I was very proud of myself. But that's also a mixture of books as well as like comics as well. Like, I think that's also reading too. People may disagree, but that's just my opinion. And no one said my opinion's important. It's just what I think. Now, I think I've set my target of 15 books this year to read. I've gotten to none. I'm currently reading a book. So now you've heard me talk about my experience with reading. I'm going to help you with some habits if you do want to get into reading. Now, you probably don't want to get into reading, or you just want to do something else with your time rather than being on your phone, scrolling. Like, I know that was annoying for me. And with reading, it's just like a different. Is it classed as a hobby, reading? I would say it is because it's like an interest of some sort and it's something that you're doing. So is it a hobby? But then you're also learning at the same time. But then that's what you do with hobbies. If you have any 2 cents to give to that, tell me what you think. I can't remember what I was talking about, so I'm gonna move on. How do you make reading more enjoyable? I can understand people's point of view when they think reading is boring. Listen, you're not reading the right books, I don't think. It's mostly because you're not enjoying it. Obviously, different factors to why you're not enjoying it, and I can't tell you that because I don't know who I'm talking to. Unfortunately, this is only a one-way conversation, but we can make it two-way conversation if you just comment down below. I'll reply to it. Personally, I've tried to make it more enjoyable by sharing the experiences with other people. What do I mean by that? I mean, like, getting someone to read the same book as you, or like you guys trading books. For example, me and my sisters did that. I think we did it either 2022, I think we did it in 2022. We would just start reading out of nowhere. We couldn't tell you what happened. If I asked them, I don't think they could tell you what happened either. I just started like reading random books that we already had. Like one of us would be reading one book, the other would be reading another book, the other one would be reading another book, and then we just be going in a circle of those books that we read, and then we could actually talk about the books together. Now that does sound nerdy, that I think about it. We really had our own book club. Nerd alert, nerd. I genuinely enjoyed it. I don't know why. I just like hearing other people's experience with the book, and I also like hearing about other people's perspective on what they picked up because we don't all pick up the same things from the same book. We just have different eyes for some things that we pick up and others don't. There might be a quote that's more meaningful to someone else, but to another person, it doesn't really mean that much. But then they can explain it to them and they'll be like, oh, okay, I see it now. Like, even having your friends or like having people that also enjoy books. Another thing that can make it more enjoyable is your environment. Sometimes for people, being at home and reading just doesn't work, and that's all right. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes I don't like being in my room and reading. I don't know why. I just rather not be reading in there. What I can recommend for other people is going to the park and reading, going to a cafe and reading, going to your car and reading. Maybe on your work break, you just want to have a break from like everything and anything. So you just go and read in your like staff room or something. I know I do that sometimes. And if there's too much noise going on and if there's too much like ness going on, what I like to do is just put my headphones on so it just blocks out the noise. You also know not to speak to me, and I won't speak to you because I'm busy doing something right now. I'm reading. Things to help with reading. As you know, I've already talked about how it was difficult for me to read sometimes. But for me now, I've made it more helpful for me by using audiobooks. But just having different voices or different like people just reading it to you and you following along generally does help. And it just allows you to try and understand the tone of the book more. I sound like an English teacher. I promise you, they're not paying me. I swear they're not. So I had my headphones on as well. I can listen to it while reading the book and following along because sometimes I'll read a sentence and I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't understand. But then if someone else reads it to me, I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense now. So if you're also struggling with reading like me, or if you're just having a harder time to understand and focus more, I would recommend audiobooks. You don't always have to pay for them. You can just go online and just type in whatever book it is, audiobook. That's what I usually do. But why is reading important? I've still not answered that question. Reading is important because you don't have to be looking at a screen all the time. And I swear, the WhatsApp mums have not sent me here. I swear to God, they've not sent me. So when reading, you're not looking at the light that's been going into your eyes. You're literally looking at a tattooed tree and hallucinating. You can also just articulate yourself better, I think. I think I've seen a significant difference with me I don't know if I've always spoke well. I'm pretty sure I haven't. I can tell you now I've not. But I think I can speak better because I do read more. You don't always have to have it as a habit or as a goal. You can just have it as something like on the side. That's another thing. You know what? You can judge a book by its cover. I stand by that. I don't care. If I'm buying a book and I don't like the cover, do you think I'm going to buy it? No. I'm going to buy a book that looks beautiful and I can just appreciate it and stare at it all day. Especially if I'm spending my own money. I'm sorry. Did I ask for your opinion about my book cover and if I should be judging a book by its cover? I don't care. I don't know if any of you would agree with this as well, but I know I do. Clearly, I agree with my statement. I would recommend reading. Clearly, I'm very passionate about it. If you don't read, then you don't read. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not the end of the world, but I think it's a good habit to have. And yeah, I think that's all I need to say about this. I think I've spoken for long enough. This will be an actual video of me speaking the whole time, even though my last video was not that long of a video compared to this one. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed me ranting and raving about books. I know it's a very random video. Listen, it's going into the abyss of the internet, and if you see it, then you see it, and if you don't, then you don't. It's not. It's not my business where it's going now. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to stay for a while and see what else I put out there, don't be afraid to subscribe. Scroll a bit and then it's there. And then you click it. You don't even have to pay for it. And then my mic started to go out, so I'm going to do the outro like this. But yeah, thanks for watching. Bye bye.